Why, hello there, my talented apprentices and already experienced smiths, and welcome to Manor Lords. I am the Draconic Smith, and today I will be showing you how to build a marvelous city. Well, not quite a city, but let's get into it. Alright, so we'll start with creating our little character. I usually tend to like this guy just because, I don't know, something on his hair. Or maybe it's his hat. Not quite sure. And that looks like a pretty good little banner, but I think we can make a better one. Let's see. I do believe that this banner will be good. Yes, and then perhaps a little ring, or a crescent moon, if you will. Perhaps an axe head, but I'm thinking of other things at the moment, so let's just start the game. Alright, so we will be doing the Restoring the Peace option today. I do believe we should have it in, I suppose, just for the beginners, it'd be best to have it off in the Germanic Valley. Although I must say, I never like raiders, so perhaps it would be best to just offload that one more year before I have to worry about it. Yes, but now I suppose we should pick our little area to work with, and am I not allowed to pick? Ah, no, I have to drag. Yes, I must do this. Just move it to the middle, move him to the other side of the map. Or can I not? I can. Yes, let's keep him on the other side of this river, just for now. Alright, now we begin. And I suppose this video will also be something of a minor tutorial for some people. So, I'll try my best to explain as well as I can just how this game works. The first thing that you'll need to do is just pause the game, get a lay of the land, see what resources you have. You can scroll all the way out, see the region view. This will show you basically everything you need, and it'll also give you a great way to immediately view all of the resources you have in your region. It looks like we have a king deposit of stone and a king deposit of wild berries, which will be a good food source. We also have some wild animals, some clay, and iron, which is rather nice. It'll allow us to build some weapons early on in the game, although perhaps stone will be best, just because it'll allow us to put in some high quality production buildings later down the line. I don't know why that was so hard to come to me. Anyway, it appears that the victory condition is that we claim all of our opponent's regions. So to do that, we'll have to fight them. Later on in the game, I do believe there will be other ways to do that, but for now, I do believe that it's best to just I've never really interacted much with this sort of thing. I'm not quite sure what his deal is. But, anywho, I suppose we should first start off with making sure our supplies are in order, as well as some living spaces, because at the moment, they're all homeless. Which is not what we want. I'll start the road from building a road from around here and to connect it to the main road this way, just because we're going to end up putting a quarry here anyway. And I might as well put in another road going parallel to that, just to get us a bit closer to... And here, I'm going to put a hunting cabin, but before that, I'm going to add the granary and the storehouse, which is where we will be placing our, or where we'll be storing both our food and then our construction materials, which, getting this set up is very important in the early game. It's probably the first thing you should do most often than not. And also maybe moving the hitching post, but we'll save that for a bit later. Now, we're also going to want to build the logging camp. Now, we shouldn't put it too close to here, I would imagine. Although, I do suppose we can just move the construction area. Or move their working area. Perhaps I do want to move this, just so I can put it in a more easier spot. Alright, where? Here. There it was. There, now I can put the logging camp there. That will take up 3 of our families, because I want to assign one of our working families to the storehouse, 1 to the granary, and 1 to the logging camp. Keeping families assigned to buildings is very important, because otherwise nothing really gets done, and you just have a whole bunch of homeless, or not homeless people, but unemployed people, which later down the line can in fact affect public order. Anywho, in the meantime, I suppose that I should start, now that I have wood production in line, well, not in line yet, I should probably wait until all these are built before I start planning anything else. It is very important to make sure you have your resources all topped up, like food and fuel. For now, fuel is a non-issue, as we have no buildings that cost food, but we still have people, and people need food. So, once these are all built, we will... What is this? Alrighty then. Let's just get that letter out of the way. I don't really care for it much at all. Yes, now, I could assign cattle to be a permanent worker of this area. After all, they do need cattle to carry the wood back here. However, we also need the cattle to carry wood to construction sites, and I only have 1 cattle. So for now, I will have to say that we don't do that. And it is spring, so perhaps it'd be better to build the forager's hut, just so I can, get working on gathering up all these nice little berries. There's already a road here for me. It's perfect. Yes, I can start building the Hunter's Lodge a bit later once I have people. But we're almost out of food. We only have 2 months worth of food left, which months take a little bit to go through, and by the time 2 months are up, we'll have gathered quite a lot of these berries, which there are quite a lot of berries. Alright, now that we have food production going all nice and smooth, I do believe it is time to start building houses now. Let's just... If we place the markers along the road, they'll try and conform to the road. Just so that they can... They used to be that it would just be the straight line all the way to the point, but now I don't have to keep editing roads, which is rather nice. I've also found a neat trick, which I suppose I should use now. No, I do believe it's fine to hold off on doing any neat little tricks for later. But we do need at least 10 timber before we can even start working on building any huts. Now it might be, some might say that it could be good to just start working on some now, but I am not of that number who believes that would be helpful. No, I believe, although, how do I do this? Alrighty, wonderful, I figured it out. So, if once you completely select all 4 plots for the zone, you can increase the number of burgage plots and decrease the number of burgage plots, just so that, well, you can have more room for the burgage extensions, and there's certain cases, adding these extra little homes, which effectively you will need to spend just as much timber to produce these homes as it does take to fill in those main homes. So once I get all of these homes completely done, it will cost 20 timber, but just to get these first 5, it's wonderful. And it's also helpful because these don't cost much more fuel, and I do believe they don't cost any fuel. I'm not sure if they cost less to feed, but I do believe that is also true. So, we will see. Oh, it seems that we are despised because I didn't build houses fast enough. Such a shame. Perhaps I should... Oh, I do hope nobody leaves. That would be bad. I don't think people will leave us, but we will just have to make sure that we build these homes quite fast. It does look like one is already nearing completion. Hope that at least slows the descent, but... Burgage plots. Yes. Alright. Now we are going to need to put a marketplace in order, and I think I'll put it here if I can. Perhaps a diamond. There we are, and then I'll just put another road just to... There we are. Just to surround. And the more families that I put in the granaries, the more space I'll have in the marketplace. Although I do suppose that I built that a little bit too small, so let me deconstruct that. because once I upgrade the storehouse, I'll have room for 12 or so. Yes, no, this is better. Alright. Now it looks like construction of the houses that we had been asking for is almost done. Now we can see that we can construct the expansions as well, which I will begin doing just so that I can get some food in. I am going to have to also build the Hunter's Lodge, just so that I can have it for when it needs to be there. Ah, I see we've received our armament delivery, so that we can finally get started on our militia. Now, let's see, we have spears and large shields, which would allow us to build the spear militia. Wonderful. Now, it is important to make sure of the weapons received in the delivery, because you get different weapons every time. One day, you might get the weapons required for crossbowmen, unlikely, or you're more likely to get them for the bow or archer militia. Other times, you might get them for the footmen or just the pure pole arms. Or no, probably not the pole arms. They seem to be a later game. Yes, no, you'll likely get them from either the archer militia, the spear unit militia, or the militia footmen, not the polearm militia. But, anywho, let's just... Oh. They've completed. And then once all these are done, then this whole little area is 10 houses, which, if I just try and make what would normally be 10 houses, not even this is enough. Okay, let me try here then. Is this enough for 10? Yeah. No. We have so much more just available room on the road. It's wonderful. And we've reached a small village, which will allow us to get our region specialization. Now, this game is still in development, as I believe I've said, so for now, only the Origins development it's the only one that matters, as it's the only one we can select. And because we have that stone quarry, I do believe I will put in this one. Get the Strasbourg Masons. This will improve our stonemason station, increasing its efficiency by 30%, reduce castle planner costs by 30%, which just makes building the castle we can have in this game cheaper. And then it also increases labor speed, which is wonderful. However, it does decrease the labor speed for the hunting camp and fisherman's hut, which is not all that important, given that for the time being, our main source of food will not be the hunter's camp, and there's not even a fishing spot in this region. So, we will take the Strasbourg Mason, as it basically only gives us positives. Alright, so... disease? Oh, yes. Perhaps that might be good to purchase. However, we don't have planks. So, we'll probably have to get planks before we can even begin to start worrying about anything, really. Especially when we want to build these backyard expansions, which are a very important part of the game. because they allow us to plant vegetables, chicken coops, and all in all, just allow us to have access to a much larger piece of the game. After all, the second and third tier buildings have access to most of our production houses. However, we haven't quite yet reached that point, especially since we're not even making money, which these little backyard extensions cost. Now, it may not look like the vegetable garden and the animal pen and the orchard don't cost money, but the seeds do. The seeds for the vegetable garden and the orchard and the animals for the animal pen all cost money. Although I do believe that I will probably save one of these for... Yes, I'll make one of these. The chicken coop. Yes, so this gives me a lot of room to work with here, just these 5 buildings. And I'm quite appreciating it. Anywho, back to the task at hand. What was the task at hand? I do not know. You know, I do believe I should check our fertility here. After all, fertility is a major part of the game. Just because, well, a lot of the main food production is in the farms, and if I can only farm in certain places, then I'll have to make sure all my farms are in those places. And it looks like this area is definitely going to be the most important in that regard. So I'm just going to begin construction on a farmhouse, but this will mostly just be so I can figure out how I want to plot all this. I'll have Emmer fertility. I usually try to make the fields 1 Morgan and get 3 of them. Get 3 1 Morgan fields, just so that I can have a lot of space to work with. And hopefully a lot of food. If I put it here, does it? It does. Good. Alright. And then 1 more field. Let's put it here, since it's not letting me put it where I want to. And then... Ooh. Should I... Oh, this will be too big. There we go. 3 1 Morgan field. Now, because of the low fertility, I don't, especially for flax, which is what I mainly use that 3rd field for. I suppose we'll have to leave it fallow for now. But I think we'll have to get a sheep farm. Prioritize meats in our diet. So, and meats don't need a lot of care in the same regard that plots do. No, farm plots do. No. We can just build these pretty much wherever we want, as they don't have a fertility. But we are going to need to put them somewhere probably close to the granary, just so we can get all any nice little bonuses we might need. So I'll put it right across from the storehouse, just so I have room for putting a church over here. And then I'll also get started on a few sheep plots. Now, again, I'm not actually going to be beginning anything here, but I'm not actually going to be starting any productions quite yet. Can I squeeze it in? Wonderful. Now, it is actually best to make these pastures somewhat small, as making one big pasture actually ends up holding less than multiple small ones. So, we're going to be making a whole bunch of these little squares. And I'll not extend anymore that way. I'll add just one more here. And that should be good. Now you see, well, the pastures aren't quite built yet, so it would make sense that we don't have anything. But that's not really the point at the moment, now is it? So, yes, once it's July. I want to add more people here just so that I can squeeze as many berries out of this thing as out of these woods as I can. I'll especially want to do that in August, just as that is the month just before the berry numbers will start decreasing, as they are a seasonal resource. There will be more of them, they will start growing in the spring and summer, and in the fall and winter they will stop growing and also die, so by the time winter pops over, there will be none left. Honestly, I don't think they'll make it halfway through fall. But, yes, we will wait for new people to come in, which should be once a month, as we are now liked. And we should also get to working on their needs, which appear to just... I get to get them water. They'll need water now, won't they? Alright, so water, especially water wells, need to be placed on top of underground rivers. Now there is a mode where you can turn off one underground rivers, but they're kind of important to the game, so I never really do. Although, I suppose they are important in a way that's not really important, more of just preference, I suppose. I'll put it here. Now, I can upgrade it later, but at the moment, I do believe it will only be able to support 15 burgage plots. Same with the church. Although, for the church, I'm going to need to build a saw pit, which I will place right here. Now, I don't quite have enough workers to do all this, but if I suppose I'll have 2 extra workers once I take that off. Or we can just wait for new people to move in, which is always wonderful. And I have 2 extra living spaces. 3, once this burgage plot is finished construction. Yes, here we can see our available living spaces, which is filled in once a month in the monthly migration under current effects. Now, this gain 1 family a month as long as your approval is above 50%, and if it is above 75, then you gain 2 families a month. if you have available living space, and only if you have available living space. If you do not, then, well, you're not going to get anything. Now, I'm not going to start stocking the sheep farm because we have no sheep. I'll have to buy a few sheep and then wait for them to populate these little pastures. Now, I might make more, but... Oh, the pantry's full. That's wonderful. But I won't be able to... Wait, no, it said forager hut. Okay, nice. Alrighty, I guess then I need... I suppose that just means I can take people off for a while, but... I will not. In fact, I probably won't ever. Also, now that we have this saw pit up and running, and it is populated, it will begin draining all of your timber to turn it into planks. So you should definitely put in a reserve, just so that if you're just so that you're not lacking timber completely. Now, I suppose we can afford another ox, which will be useful, just so that we can get one permanently assigned to the logging camp, which is something I want, and still have another left over for construction. Although, I do believe we have a lot of construction going on. We'll be fine. It will be better to permanently assign one to the logging camp. Although, we are running out of fuel, so I should build the woodcutter's lodge, which will gather firewood. A very important resource in the game, as otherwise they won't be able to make their food and stuff. Cook it and heat it up and keep themselves warm. And we just had some firewood stolen by nearby bandits, which I don't appreciate. Alright, we'll have to get the militia out here to deal with them. Let's see if I can't count how many there are. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 12, 16, 18. There are 18 brigands here. And they're brigands, so they shouldn't fare very well against our militia. Especially since if I put them in stand your ground, which will double their defense, and since they already have those heavy shields, I expect them to have marvelous defense already, which will just make it all the more marvelous. Alright, now, let's see, how many people do I have here? Yes, I'm gonna have to take one off. And you might be asking why I'm taking one off when I already had an unassigned family. Well, that is because, as you can see in the tooltip, unassigned families are needed to build things. Without unassigned families, all construction will just be left undone. Now we're about to head into... Let's increase the construction priority, because we're completely out of fuel. So, if we don't get fuel quickly, then we'll just... everything will be bad. Yes, it will. Although it is nighttime. New bandit camp. Let's see, how many are here? I expect 18 again, but let's count now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 12, 16, 18. Yes, 18 again. I think that it's guaranteed to have 18. Although later we will have to prepare for an all-out invasion of quite a lot of people, so that will be in 3 years, so we have 2 years before the warning. We'll need to get our population up quite a lot to be able to fight them off. And also build the fort, which, just because it's a fort, I'd like to put it here, so that we only have to deal with one range of attack. However, I don't know how it'll interact. I don't know if they'll just try and attack the village first, or if they'll hit the fort first. I suppose it all depends on whether or not, or where they come from. But I think we'll put the fort there when we can. We can't do that now, because I don't believe that we have the resources for it. Yes, no, we'll need a lot of planks before we get started, and I've already used up quite a lot of our rubble, so we'll need that for the church, so we will not be able to do that. And we'll also need to get a trading post up and running here soon. Harvest season ended. Not really important, because I didn't have anything in the first place. We have quite a lot of rye. I suppose we'll be making rye bread. Ah, Woodcutter's Lodge. Finished. Wonderful. Let's just get as many people as I can on that. And then it should be, yes, berry deposits are shrinking. Get as many people as we can working on the Woodcutter's Lodge, just until we have, say, 2 or 3 months of fuel. And the quarry. I want to build the quarry soon, possibly, but I'll also need a stonemason station, just so I can get them into dressed stones, but that won't really be worth much until I can build the trading post and get enough money to start open up. You know what? I will explain the trading post later, because it's a bit complicated to just... a bit too complicated to just explain now. Oh, it looks like we're completely out of berries, so there's no point in me having them stocked. I'd rather just put them on the hunting camp, get, allow me to hunt more animals, and then, yes, we have 200 berries, so that meat should stockpile fairly quickly, but then again, they are begging for it, so yes, we'll also need to build the church rather soon. How's our wood? How's our wood looking? Yes, no, I believe with all the construction, it has not gone very quickly. Oh, yes, I need to upgrade the trade. I need to upgrade the hitching post for that, which I can't do as I don't have the... I don't have the planks for it, so once... if I can get the planks, I'll have the planks made, and then I'll put the reserve back on, just so I can upgrade the small stable. Not enough construction materials? What are you on about? I just gave you the amount of construction materials that you would need. Yes, there you go. It was rather dumb of me to try and make those first. Anyway, I should probably... Let's see. I don't know how much I feel that this will cost exactly. And I honestly don't want to put in any of the lower quality fruits or orchards, and I don't quite remember the animal pen cost. So I'll just put in a coop of chickens, because that'll give me eggs and every once in a while some chicken. So yes, we'll put a chicken coop. This will just give me some extra food, as well as sate one of the requirements for animal produce. All in all, very good for just late game upgrading. Now, it doesn't really matter the size of these extensions for the buildings, like all of the second tier buildings, all the third tier buildings, and any of the animals or chickens, or probably even the apiary. But for the vegetable garden and the orchard, there are tricks you can use to massively increase the size of your little area, just because, well, that does matter for these, because the more area you have, the more food and the more vegetables and fruits they will produce, which, all in all, is very important, because it allows us to do quite a lot. Now let's see how stable space is filled, which means that I can permanently assign one person to take care of that, and I'll put it in to be upgraded, but actually what month is it? I do believe I missed my chance on that. But maybe I can just do one field. I want to get, because we plant just after harvest season, and then, which might seem a bit counterintuitive to people who aren't familiar, but you're supposed to plant your food just after harvest season and then let it get buried by the snow during the winter, which originally I was confounded by, because that didn't make much sense. I tried to plant in the spring, and then my crops got harvested way too early. Alright, we're going to put... yes, no... Well... I don't think they'll be able to do it. Yes, no, it has to be done before winter. Well then... I'll probably be able to do it. Stocks damaged by weather storehouse. Alright. Now that we have planks... I did set it back. I don't know. It's far too low. But anyway, now that we have planks, it is a good time as any to start building our church, which is very important, as it is one of the requirements to upgrade our burgage plots to level 2. And once they're level 2, they start giving me money. Well, not me money, but they start providing regional wealth, which is what we spend in order to purchase all of these fine little upgrades for the people. Now I am going to start construction on them just because there's no reason not to, I'm just going to set the church as a higher priority. And then we should also start... I'll also bring in the livestock trading post. It can go here, although I might want to... Let's see if I can figure out this trick I learned a while ago. Where we just put point like that. No, that's not working the way I wanted it to. What if I go from here? No, that's also not doing what I want. Now that's just absurd. What even is this? Perhaps I'm doing it wrong. Do I need to ensure that it's road on all sides? See if I can figure this out, because then it'll allow me to build rather large areas for the extensions without the need for rather large places, but it's just not doing what I want it to. It's not even putting in the thing. It's not even putting in the extensions. So I believe I'll just put where I originally intended to put in here and just start construction on the, where is it? The livestock trading post. Now this will allow us to buy sheep to put in the pastures. Now we are going to need a few more people to get this all set up, but just so we can have people working where they're all needed. Especially since, how many people are working in any given area? I believe it is all just one person. Or, not one person, I should say, but one person in any given area. Oh, bandits just stole a lot of our shit, huh? I don't appreciate that at all. Well, I suppose once spring comes around, I'll show you the bandits' one good use. Alrighty then. I really do miss having fishing resources. They are seasonal, but they just hold so much more food than the berries, even king berries. I have yet to find a single food source more plentiful. Not even the mushrooms. Alright. Yes. Will be as soon as this construction is done. In fact, I'll even unassign him and him, just so I can get any construction done faster. Or is it just... Is it just him? If it's just him, then I don't know why I did that. I didn't need to. Alrighty. So, once this is done, or these two are done, I suppose that I'll get started on building more houses. I'll probably build them along here, probably in the same pattern for 10 families and 5 burgage plots. But I don't want to extend too far here and take up the wild berries area. Okay, looks like they have the church. You know what? I'm going to do this as well. I'm going to get rid of the permanent livestock and the people working in the saw pit, because we already have quite a lot of planks. So that I can have quite a lot more. Yes. Now, at the beginning of every month, I do believe, I will be receiving 5 regional wealth. 1 for each of these burgess plots. Which I suppose is not a good use for taxes. I don't think... Just because it's 1 burgage plot, they'll only pay me 1 each, but there are 2 families living in there. Not sure how I feel about this. More families, less money. Oh well. All's well that ends well, and this ends in quite a lot of good things for me. Oh. Our level increased. That's nice. Alright, now that that has finished construction, I will get started on... 2 houses over here. This is quite a lot of land I could be using for orchards. I want money more than that. And then I can... How much wood do I have? Oh, I put that in the wrong spot. Alright, so... I have enough for 3 houses. If I do this, then I still have quite a lot of room for plots and things, and then I can just... Yes. Wonderful. That gives me 1, 2, 8 more people. That should be good. I am going to need to put somebody in the church, which is something of a shame as it will slow construction, but they can deal with not having their church for a little bit longer. Alright, give them their church person. Put somebody in the forger's hut. We still have those two for trying to maintain the fields that I managed poorly. And, well, our first seasonal year is coming to an end rather shortly. And because of that, I think I'll be ending the video right around here, as it is spring now. So, for next episode, when we go to war with the bandits, when we finally fix up the pasture, start growing in our fields, and just get more people. And maybe start working on some higher quality productions. In the meantime, I hope all of you have a wonderful day.